Good morning. Good Saturday morning to you. Ooh, am I coming in a little hot? I may be coming a little too hot. Just a tad, just a tad. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Good Saturday morning to you. From wherever you may be listening to, whether United States, Canada, UK, wherever you are. Welcome to Podcasters Live Academy Saturday morning edition, where we talk tips and tech. Today we have a full show, talking a little bit about Podfest, talking about some tips, and then also throughout the live stream, of course, giving you the opportunity to ask questions, put your comments in there, even if you want to come on live near the tail end of the stream. Let me know, and we can have you actually come on board as well. Please go ahead and leave your comments and your questions. Go ahead and put them in there. Let me know where you are listening in from today. You can go ahead and put it in the comments. I want to know where you're from, what you're doing. What are you doing this Saturday morning other than listening to Podcasters Live Academy? Or if you're doing something else while you're listening to Podcasters Live Academy, let me know that as well. But good morning to each and every one of you. So before we move into, I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It's going to be a pretty you know, it's one of those. So I'm one of those people. I'm an academic person. I learn better while sitting in the classroom, right? And then taking what I've learned in the classroom and then applying it to real life situations, right? So in my previous professional career, I was always tasked, or I won't say tasked. I was always assigned to go to um big, like, corporate training, industry events where there was just a lot of classroom stuff, and then my job was to always go there and then bring back and disseminate the information to my leadership team, also to the people that I led, and also my peers. So um today is probably going to be one of those days where I'm going to probably be a little academic with some of the things that I want to talk about today, but bear with me. I'm gonna always keep it light, keep it fun, and but more importantly, and it's gonna be informative, and it's gonna be constructive for who you are and what you're doing currently within your podcast and live stream journey as well. So before we move into everything else, I always want to let you know that you can go to our store and pick up any of our merch at pressageshow.com slash podcasters live. We are live on LinkedIn. So if you are there on LinkedIn, we welcome you and thank you so much for your comments. And of course, we are in our Facebook group. If you're not part of our Facebook group, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a pretty robust group and learning a lot of good stuff. And if you are not part of our subscribers for Podcasters Live at YouTube, we actually go ahead and do that. And speaking of podcasts, speaking of YouTube, look at that guy. I don't know who that guy is right there, but it's one of our first videos that we put out there, and it's pretty good about our camera bag. And then tonight we will be doing a Pomodoro session tonight um, at around 7:30. I typically go on half an hour. I don't know why, just weird like that. Typically, you're probably supposed to do things on the top of the hour, but I don't know. I like to go on the half an hour for those things. So we're going to be doing that tonight as well. And then, of course, what's going on? You're always look at that. That. Thank you so much for that, Sharon. I appreciate it. I'm always coming in hot. I need to put that music on. I need to put that music on. All right. So, um, anybody else out there in the comments, let me know what you guys got going on. What's something that you want to talk about today as we discuss some of the topics that we're going to be discussing. We're going to do Podfest lessons learned. What's the current state of your podcast? I want to talk about that. Um, if you have any questions or thoughts about where you currently are with your podcast or your live stream, we can talk a little bit about that as it relates to Podfest and things along that line. And then three tips from live streaming and some live podcast and live stream tips, and then of course Q&A kind of throughout the entire show. Throughout the entire show. All right, cool means. So Podfest was pretty dope. It was awesome in the sense that I had the opportunity to really connect with a lot of people physically or in person, that I've connected with online, whether we're part of the same community, whether it's they were on my podcast or live stream or vice versa, or we just connected with each other in the internet sphere, if you will, and live streaming communities and podcast communities. So it was a great opportunity for you to kind of put a face, physical face, with the person, have a good discussion, have a conversation about kind of where they are with their journey, what are some of the pain points that they're seeing in their current um, journey, in their current podcast or live stream. And then what you learn is that there's just a lot of the same issues that people are facing, a lot of the same obstacles. And the cool part is that a lot of people who are actually at Podfest or at these events, they have overcome some of those obstacles that you may be facing. And so it's a great opportunity for you to connect with people and actually just talk about what you do, and provide some insight. The other part of it is that there are just tons and tons, at least for this one, there were just so many different opportunities for you to learn, for you to go to different sessions, and in my eyes, honestly, I think there was, there was a lot. I just think there was a lot, and I was talking to share about this too. Do you guys remember, in college when you went to college and so for me, my undergrad was in accounting and I had to take, accounting one, intermediate accounting, yada, yada, yada. And typically based on whether your work schedule or whatever it was, if you were working while you're at college, you would have to pick your schedule. You can say, hey, I wanted to take accounting one in the morning because mornings were better for me, or I would be able to take or had the option of taking counting one in the evening or afternoon sessions, right? So it gave you a couple of different options. I wish that there was something like that with some of the some of the content where you actually had options from a morning to an afternoon session for it because there were some really good pieces of content that I wanted to hear, but I just didn't get the opportunity to because whether I was doing an MCing, or somebody else was speaking that I wanted to speak, I wanted to hear speak, and so maybe just having an option like that probably not what I would say would have been better, but would have actually just allowed you know for more people to consume more information. I know the logistics of that probably. Um, I don't know if that would have played out well, but just thinking about having some like critical key topics, um, that were in the morning and then also in the afternoon would have been great too. And this is a part of my honestly, I haven't even gotten to my lessons learned yet. The other piece is that whenever you go to a conference, typically, I'm just taking this really from the business world per se. Typically, there's a theme, right? There's an underpinning of like what the topics and what the speakers are all kind of pointing towards. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but at least that's always been my perspective. Whenever I've gone to different conferences, there's always seems to be a constant kind of like underpinning and theme. Um, I'm not sure if what that was. I know there was a lot of information around video stuff and things like that, but I'm not particularly sure what the underpinning of like what we were all trying to go there to kind of get after and then get out of it. So um those are just two of my initial thoughts, other than the fact that I got to meet some amazing people as well. And Cher says the most awesome sessions seem to overlap each other. Yep. And made choosing one or the other very difficult. Agreed. 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 Right. And that was the whether you had a buddy who was speaking or the topic that was being presented was so awesome. You're like, dude, okay, I want to, but I got this one over here. So there was just a lot of different things that were kind of overlapping too. And I know there's always going to be lessons learned, and there's going to be takeaways and things that they can do differently as well too. So, but having said that, um, highly recommend visiting and going to a conference if you haven't gone to one of these, VidFest or video, people on video, podcast movement, one of these, conferences to just go there and experience it because that's exactly what it is. It is an experience, and I think most people who are in the content creation community, we tend to just get into our little silos and connect with people virtually, which is cool, 100% cool, right? But I think going out and safely being able to experience some of these conferences will bode well for you and help you with your perspective because the things that I'm going to talk a little bit about today um, are things that I learned from Podfest, and we're going to get into them in a second. Um, in this case, less would be more. Correct, right? Less would be more, and highly concentrated um, pieces. So I don't know if I don't know if I want to use this example or not. Um, I don't care. I'm gonna use it. So because I'm old school. So and because I just thought about this, just it just came to me. So anyway, uh, DJ Jazzy Jeff, right? Because Sharon knows I love him, and he has this thing that comes on, during the weekday, and where he's actually just, doing music and spinning music. the point of what I want to make is with DJ Jazzy Jeff, what he created and was sort of an incubator um, weekend with other DJs and other people in the music industry. And the reason I bring that up was because it's very concentrated what they talk about. Um, they have speakers that come in and they speak about various things that are critical to that industry. I'm not saying Podfest didn't do that, but the concentration of it is as such that these DJs and musicians and everybody they leave there with a true, understanding of like more about who their music style is, and then what they need to do with that going forward. I just said that to say is because I think whenever you try to you're spending money, there needs to be something that either you need to focus in on yourself or that the conference needs to help you focus in on. So that way, when you leave, you can kind of move forward with whatever it is that you want to do to create your content better and to deliver on your product a little bit better for for the masses. Anyway, sorry for a little diatribe there. Lessons learned. Lessons learned from Podfest. We're gonna get into these each individually too. Create. Number one. Number two, it's not too late. Three, audio podcast. Audio podcast is not going anywhere. But get ready for video and live. Get ready for video and live. All right. Who's this? Are you only live here? Good morning. No, I am actually on. I'm on YouTube too, buddy. Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. That's Roy. How you doing, man? So okay, so create. So this one was personal for me more so than anything. We have a couple of videos coming out for the conference, some vlogs that will be coming out here shortly as well too. And I think part of day one of my takeaways was, and I apologize if this is not being presumptuous and not being like big headed. I walked in and talked to several people, and I didn't realize that there was a lot of people that actually listen to podcasters live and then also listen to retail leadership with Steve Worthy, even though we haven't put out tons of content for retail leadership as much um, recently over the last 4 weeks. And it was really cool to realize that there are people who are listening to your content that you don't even know, right? We may look at our counts, like say, look at our count, our counters for who's watching us right now, right? So when we're live, we look at the counter, like, oh my god, we got 10 people, we got so and so people, we got all this, and but there are other people, and we want those people to comment and all this other stuff. But there are other people who are just sitting back and they're just looking at the content and they're not really commenting. They're not saying too much. They're um, they're not giving you any feedback or whatever it may be. And a lot of times we get so caught up in like the number of people who are currently watching us that we forget about the people who are kind of watching us, afterwards or still watching us live, but not really saying anything because they just want to consume our content. And so that just really set a fire underneath me was to create, create more content. I haven't done a decent enough job of creating content, um, stuff that I know that I can create, whether it's for Podcasters Live and for Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. Um, I haven't done enough. I love doing these. I love going live, as you guys know, but I haven't done anything else as much as outside of that. And my boy Ash Borland has always been on me about creating videos and doing some other stuff. And so, you know, um, the what's in my camera bag piece was one of our first ones that we've kind of created from a video standpoint. We have more products. We've been able to get some sponsored products that are actually coming our way, and we're going to be doing more of those videos and reviews. We're going to be more kind of tutorial, if you will, from creating content and also the product piece is going to be easy for me. As you guys know, I love gear. I could talk all day long about gear, so we will get into that. But we will also get into the idea of what does it take, what does it look like to be a better guest on a live stream, on a podcast. What does it take to actually create your pillars, right? Because I'll be talking about that a little later. One of the things that you guys know well is I love talking about content pillars and running everything you do through that, because it just makes your life so much easier when you have a foundation. So to create, when I went there, there were just so many people that were, they were creating stuff. They were doing things that were um, not just bigger than themselves, but they were creating content for the communities that they actually lead. And so for me, it just really set a fire underneath me, was that I need to create more content. Here's the thing: the tendency is that we think we're doing enough, and we, for the most part, people, we are, right? But if you really want to impact, if you really want to impact people and grow what you're trying to do, you have to create more content. And here's the thing: I am not saying just create content for creating content's sake. We have a really structured perspective on the content that we want to create, video wise, live stream wise. We are really structured on that, um, running everything through our pillars. And so everything that we will be creating is to grow the brand and to grow our authority. It's not just going to be to create for the creation's sake. So understand that piece. If you have a question, or you have a thought, or you wanted to share something around what's something that something that you are doing right now to create more content that is kind of specific to your brand, to specific to your audience, put that in the comments and let me know. Or if you have a question around this whole idea around create, please let me know as well too. Someone says, there he is. What's going on, Billy? How you doing, big man? Good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Good to see you. There's so many getting value from what you do, yet they prefer to be in the background. 100%. Keep making content. 100%. Right? We don't know. You don't know who's listening. You really don't. I mean, there's some people that came up to me, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool, dude. Like, it's like, oh man. But it made me realize that, we do have something of value, right? We do have something of value to add, and you do as well. And so sitting back, sitting on your hands and just expecting things to kind of happen overnight, it doesn't. Sharon and I were having a conversation yesterday. We were both, because she was there as well, and we were just both super jazzed about this whole idea around create, and that, you know it's for the next, 3 to 6 months, just going to be heads down with creating content. And then from there, when you're doing that, the outflow or the results of all of that stuff, whether it's clients, brand deals, whatever it may be, will come from an outflow of you creating consistent, informative, effective content. So anyway, that's my number one. That's my number one thought that I was able to take away from Podfest. If you have any thoughts around this whole idea about creating, what's something that you are creating that's kind of new, um, something that you've always been thinking about, kind of creating. So I always wanted to create that whole "what's in my camera bag." Uh, okay, spoiler alert. So we're doing these. I don't know why I got addicted. I'm addicted to vlogs. So if you saw our show on live stream on Wednesday, we had Rob Balasabas on, and then the tail end of it, we had like three or four other people who were there, and at Podfest, and James Hicks kind of led the discussion. Um, Part of that is I fell in love with vlogs because of Rob Balasabas, and also Pina Lindgren, who's another content creator out there. Anyway, so I created that whole "what's on my bag" piece for the vlog, and it was part of like the shot list, because we have created a shot list. This is how detailed we have gotten, and create a shot list for everything that we do, videos, vlogs, whatever it is. And my video editor was like, dude, that's a video in and of itself. We're pulling that one out. We're not using. I was like, oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. So when you're creating content, a lot of times you don't realize that you you can create content within content. I don't know if that makes sense or not. If it does, say you're following me, and there you go. Um, head down, content uploaded. Heads down. I love that. I like that. I like that. All right. What time we got? Oh man. See, y'all get me talking, man. So okay, so didn't want to do this real quick too. So I can't leave you here with just saying create, right? Because then that's like, okay, what do you want to do? I think how to create more content. I kind of thought about a couple of different things that try to make it easier to some degree for you, because the tendency is sometimes is that we overcomplicate this idea around creating content. And I think I won't say it's simple, but I think we just have to kind of, you know, try to simplify it as best as we possibly can. And so number one is just embrace your uniqueness, right? The the tendency with a lot of times with um and this is for myself included. So I'm preaching to the choir, or I've preached to the choir on this, is because the tendency is like, I want to create this, but I don't want it to sound like so and so. Dude, who cares? Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody, no, dude, you are not that big. Steve, I'm talking to myself. Steve, you are not that big for anybody to care that your content will sound like so and so. Just because you've been influenced by, for me, like Peter Lindgren and those guys, like nobody's gonna sit there and be like, oh my gosh, he's copied off of Peter Lindgren. Nobody cares. They just don't. So stop it, right? Like I said, I'm talking to myself and I'm talking to you out there. So stop it. You have to embrace your uniqueness, right? What makes you special? Um, how you present stuff, how you articulate your message, period. So understand that, embrace that first. Will help you kind of create more content, do more of what works. Well, we'll see what works. Look at the views, right? Look at the comments, look at the engagement. Ask for feedback, right? Just for this camera bag piece, I sent it to a whole bunch of people that I trusted, asked for feedback. Um some right before we uploaded it, and then some afterwards. The feedback was great. Just, hey, do tweak this, do that, maybe for your next one. Hey, add this or do that, like, just put that one out there, but do this, kind of going forward. So do more of what works, and then ask trusted people who will give you their perspective on, because they know you, they would give their perspective on your content. And then also, when you put it out there into the ethos, you can actually see the results as well. Number three, let let go of what you don't like. All right. So this one is sort of hard sometimes, because when we have to let go of certain things that we don't like to do, right? And what we feel that is is something that we need to necessarily put our hands towards, and we just don't. Other people need to do that, right? You have to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and the things that you like to create. And I'll give you a great example. Um, my buddy shares in here again as well. Gal shares in here, and she's yeah, I straightened that up. I fixed it. Um, was that I wanted to do? Here's the thing. I wanted to do, and I actually did a couple of them when I started Podcasters Live. I wanted to do this remote podcast and show production. Man, I created a whole page. I wanted to do all this other stuff and everything. And I realized, and I did a couple of them, and I was like, Sharon challenged me. She said, dude, do you really like that? And I was like, no. Why are you doing it? It's like, well, because it's a nice offering to have. Well, if you don't like doing it, why are you doing it? And it's 100% right. And so I think we start to overcomplicate things, and we feel that just because we can do it, we should be doing it. And not just big things. I'm talking about small things within our content creation aspect. While I can probably edit a video, I found a guy, that is just sick at it, and that's what he loves to do. And so that's what we do. And we probably talk once a week, talk about our concepts and the thoughts. He gets me. Um, it's a cool relationship. And so, and even now with Podcasters Live from the audio podcast piece, right? Found an amazing editor for that. Now, retail leadership, I still edit myself, but with Podcasters Live, I found somebody that actually just they get me and they get the idea and the concept of what we're going for. So all I do is record, send it over to them, and they work their magic, and we upload it, and we're good to go. And then you guys, 2 weeks ago, you guys met PJ, my virtual assistant, right? So she handles all of that other stuff that I hate to do, the marketing, the post, all of that stuff, create the content calendar and all this other things. So it's number three, let go of what you don't like to do, and that will free your time up for things that you truly, truly want to do as well. So we got some comments coming on over here. I want to make sure. Um, my goal is to make content where my audience and I both learn something. No, agreed, agreed. And um, I think that's Roy. I think that's 100% correct, right? I think that's where you have to be curious as well, right? About Here's the thing: people will respect you when you if you don't know something and you are going along this journey of learning yourself and taking them along with you. People will respect that. They will respect that. They will appreciate that. And I think a lot of times we feel that as since we have these platforms that we have to come off like we know it all. And we know we don't, but we have we present things like we act like we know it all, we don't. And so I think if we are able to help people along their journey and us as well, people will respect it and they'll appreciate that more because that goes right back to it goes right back to where was it? Um right back to number one, embracing your uniqueness, right? If you embrace the true aspect of who you are and not knowing something, man, guess what? People will truly appreciate that aspect of you, and they'll go along the journey with you as well too. Uh, the more you create, the more you would discover and evolve your own content creation style. 100%, 100%, because you don't know what you don't know about yourself, right? You know, when you're creating content, you don't when was doing these videos or and starting to do these videos, I I don't have a video style, right? I don't. I know I can see other people and what they're doing, and I'm like, okay, dude, that's awesome. It's pretty dope. But then I realized that when they started, they didn't have a style either. They probably just copied off of somebody who did the same thing. They went through an iterative process to kind of understand and say, "Oh, I like that jump cut," or "I don't like that cut," or "I like that fade," or "Let me use music here." Um, or let me embed this right here, or I don't like that style of B-roll. I want to use this type of B-roll. Oh, that ending is horrible. I actually want the lower third to kind of come down and pop up. So right, everybody's going through this creative journey process until they get to where they feel like, okay, you know what, I have a certain style. And I think that's the most important part. But you got to start, and I hate to say, you just got to keep starting. You got to start, but you got to keep going. And the only way you're going to be able to create your own style is by creating content, more and more content. Let go of what you don't like. You're driving down my street right now. I knew when I was putting this together um, last night. I knew that one was going to mess you up, Cher. I knew that was going to mess you up. Hey, good morning, Eileen. How are you doing this morning? Good to see you here. Um, Let go of what you don't like. Love that advice. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you being here. What's going on, Rich, man? How are you doing, man? Good to see you, dude. Good to see you, man. Rich, man, I'm glad you're here, dude. When I started doing this last fall, I think it was last fall, Rich, probably, when I started doing these, it was on Sundays, actually. Rich was one of my first, people that was consistently kind of coming on, man. So and providing some feedback and advice. So I appreciate that. Thanks for showing up, Rich. I really do appreciate it. All right. So um lesson learned number two. It's not too late. It's not too late. It's not too late. Yo, okay. Let me help you. Let me help you you guys with this. I gotta adjust my seat for this one. So everybody think it's too late to start content creation. I'm going to take this from in two veins. I'm going to take it from an age standpoint, right? Because the guys, he's in the community too, Doc Rock, right? He created a podcast called Creator 50, which is awesome, and it is for content creators who are 50 plus. And the one thing that I've realized is that a lot of the best content, whether it's podcasts and even live streams, have come from people who have a certain level of experience in their life and in their profession because they've seen a lot, um, personally and professionally. They've gone through a lot, they've overcome a lot. And so now, when you get to a certain point within your content, the content should speak truly more about who you are because you really shouldn't give a crap about what other people think, right? We all have that grandma, right, or that auntie that's like 80 years old, and they just say whatever it is they want to say, right? You go to a cookout, and they're just like, "Brr," and you're like, dude, oh my, like they've earned the right to say whatever it is that they want to say, right? They've had to share their life experiences. They've been through it all, right? They can say whatever they want to say, and so you just respect it. And so I think if you're of a certain age, when you're creating content, you already have some built-in authority. Um, that doesn't guarantee you the right to an audience, right? There doesn't guarantee any of us the right to an audience. But what it does give you some measure of credibility. So when you start thinking about it's too late, I'm too old, what's this YouTube thing, what's this content creation thing, don't worry about that. Forget about it. You just need to go ahead and get started. So it's not too late. The other side that I wanted to address with this is that, the idea of saturation and whether it's in podcasting or whether it's live streaming or whatever it may be. Here's the one thing I've seen uh, a growth in what I would call um, everybody helping people kind of start a podcast and start a live stream, myself included. This podcasters live was birthed out of my love for live streaming, and also my love for podcasting as well. So I'm in the same boat as well too. The difference is that is going to be your measure of longevity that you want to actually have, and stick to itiveness, right? I love that word, stick to itiveness, that you are going to have to create and have when you're actually going out here and creating content. Because just because everybody's out there doing it doesn't mean everybody's going to be out there doing it for long, or 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 that they're doing it with quality. Understand that, okay? So the tendency is that we start to look into in the landscape, and we start to see this person. They just started doing this thing with podcast creation. They just started doing this thing with personal branding. They just started doing this thing with corporate branding. They just started doing this thing with tech, and you start to get like, this is oversaturated, dude. Stop. You have to understand that when you are putting out your stuff has to be able to cut through the noise first and foremost. And consistency, as I said when I was in Atlanta, consistency will build your community. And when you are able to do that, that will help cut through the noise, and people will start to take you seriously and to see you as a thought leader in your field, in your area of expertise, and whatever that may be. So when I say it's not too late, it's truly not too late for you to get out here and actually start the process of chopping down the trees. When I mean trees, I mean the other people that are in your field and possibly in your way. And I don't mean that in a negative context. I mean the fact of like you're clearing the field for your stuff. And the way you do that is by narrowing what it is that you want to talk about, because there are so many things that are super broad that are out here, and the more narrow you can get, if you can, the better off you're going to be, and the more um, I think I want to say active and engaged your tribe will be, because you will hit a very specific topic and pain point for people. And the tendency that, man, I gotta go on this one. The tendency is that people don't want to take the time to discover what the pain point is for other people. They want to just assume what the pain point is and then trying to create content around that. You can't do that. You have to connect with people, talk to people, work with them, help them try to understand where they're coming from and what truly is their problem. And then when you're able to do that, you're able to truly cut through some of the noise. Truly able to cut through some of the noise. All right. All right. Any comments, any questions, anything about it's not too late? Because when I went to the conference, there's just tons of people that are of a certain vintage, of a certain age, that are just some of the best content creators that are out there. Um, there are a lot of people who are in the beginners track, who are just brand new to podcasting and video and all these different things. Here's the other thing. Okay, I got to say this too. Let me show this point. Okay, now, I'm going to say that last point. Okay, here's the other thing. Okay, I'm getting excited, right? What we're doing, those of us who are consistently kind of creating content, I said this the other day too, is that there are still a lot of people who don't have no clue what a podcast is, right? And I'm not saying because the definition of a podcast or live stream, or a podcast has changed, right? Because now, video podcast, live stream podcast, or whatever it is, there's just a lot of people who still don't know what a podcast is. Understand that, right? There are just tons of people, even if they know what a podcast is, they haven't listened to a podcast. Get that? We think because we're in the industry, think that because we're podcasters and we're live streamers, that everybody and their mama knows what we do. They don't. They don't. There are tons and tons of people, not just in America, but throughout the world, that don't know what you do. This is why I love live streaming, is because I can talk to people that are over in the Philippines and talk to people over in Asia, over in the UK, Australia, Africa, quickly in real time, and connect and have a global audience. But here's the thing, that global audience, still, a lot of them still have no clue what a podcast is or a live stream. So when you start to think about what you're trying to do, stop thinking about it from an American. If you guys are from the States, right? Stop thinking about it just from a U.S. standpoint. You got to think about your stuff globally, right? I had James Critland on my podcast, and we talked about, that idea that your content, is it ready for the world, right? How are you communicating your content that it can be consumed by people in other worlds, in other countries? This is why I say it's not too late. This is why I say it's not too late, because there are tons of people who have yet to hear and understand what a podcast or a live stream is. So the market is there and is ready, What's going on, Monty? You bringing that realness now, right? Dude, man, I listen to me, man. When something hit me, yeah, I got to keep it. I got to let them know, man, because it's just the truth. It's not too late. It's not too late. Here's the third one. Here's the third one. Audio podcast is not going anywhere, but get ready for video and live. All right, everybody, everybody thinks that audio podcast is going to be dead because YouTube is getting into it. I am not of the opinion of that. I am not of the opinion that audio podcast is dead, is going to die. I am just not. Um, there have been so many different things that have come up, and tested podcasts and podcasting that haven't survived. And here are just a few of them. And this is just my own thoughts, right? So podcast killers, so to speak, like Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, LinkedIn Audio, right? Even YouTube. um, the thought process is that these are going to kill off the audio world. Um, Sirius Radio, when that came out, right? Because they didn't have podcasts initially. Think about Sirius when it first came out, Sirius and XM when they were two companies. Um, right? They didn't have podcasts. They were all music, right? And they thought that was going to kill radio. Radio is still around, right? Podcasters thought that that was going to kill podcasting because now people can listen to, whatever music that they want to customize their music in their cars, at home, yada yada yada. Podcasting is still around, right? Clubhouse, right? Oh my gosh, I remember when Clubhouse came up and came out, and everybody and their mama, was like, "Oh my gosh, Clubhouse, Clubhouse, Clubhouse! It's going to kill podcasting. What do you think about it? And but how can we? How can I remember? I even did it myself. How can we record our podcast? How can we record something using our Rodecaster Pro in Clubhouse? Did it myself, right? Um, but I was never of the opinion that Clubhouse was going to kill podcasting. And I'm going to get to that in a second. And then Twitter Spaces, and then of course LinkedIn Audio, they're all trying it. They're all. Here's why. Do you not understand the significance of what audio does when you're speaking to someone, just from an audio standpoint? Why? Okay, so here's the thing. If audio was dying, if podcasters was dying, right? Because it's an audio first idea, right? Why create Clubhouse? Why not just create another YouTube? Or why create Twitter Spaces? Or why create LinkedIn Audio? Right? If podcasting is going away, audio podcasting is going away. You don't do that. You don't do that. If you have a different opinion, if you have a different perspective, please, whether you're looking at this live or looking at this on a replay, please let me know, right? You don't do that if you feel that, you know, that medium is dying, right? Audio is dying. There is scientific proof, and maybe I'll do a separate one on this because I am I am of the opinion that the audio aspect provides even though the live stream piece is amazing, the audio piece provides such a high level of intimacy that with you and that person. And I sound like I'm beating a dead horse with this, right? And here's why: because you don't listen to a podcast in a group, right? You don't listen to your podcast when with a group of people. How many people do that? Listen to your podcast like in the group. Maybe if you're in a car with certain people, you're on a road trip or something like that. You guys love Serial, the podcast Serial, right? Or you love retail leadership with Steve Worthy. You got a whole bunch of retail people in the car, yada yada yada, right? But you typically listen to it one on one, right? At your convenience when you want to listen to it, right? When it's convenient for you, right? All those things, and when you feel the need, right, or when you feel the urge to listen to that, there is a whole bunch of emotional and psychological connections when you actually listen to something by yourself, and it's just my voice going back and forth in your ear. Period. And so that is never going away. It is not going away. It's just not. And so it's not because I'm pro podcast. It's just because I understand that the medium, um, its impact, over the years and decades since it's been around, it's just not going anywhere. You have all these different platforms that have tried not so much to kill podcasting, but to almost be an ancillary to podcasting and say, hey, well, we have audio too, right? Spotify, all these other guys. Now, the second part of what I said was, but get ready for video and audio. I can't begin to tell you how important that piece is. Video and closed caption. that can be translated and getting bigger and bigger. 100%, 100%. We'll talk about that here too. Um, all great points on the longevity of podcasting. Uh, What's going on, Walter? Man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, dude. Right. So when you start to think about, the idea of, but get ready for video and live, right? So I said all that, and I am not discounting, and maybe I shouldn't have said the word but, because Cher always says we put the word but. When you put the word but, it just negates everything else. So here to go. I changed it. Audio and podcasting are not going anywhere. Get ready for video and live. So that's so true. You put a but in front of something, it just kind of negates everything else. So I took that out. I can do that in real time. Um, but get ready for video and live. So if you are not okay, all right. How can I say this? How can I say this? I attended several, not several. I attended a couple of opportunities, um, sessions around live streaming and podcasting and different things like that. And I was upset because one of the sessions I wasn't leading, um, and the person I was leading, they did live streaming and things along that line. And the room, the room was packed. It was packed. It was probably, I won't say packed, but it was a lot of people in there, a lot of podcasters in there, um, wanting to learn about live streaming and video. A lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of people. And you know, I there was just a lot of people. I'm trying my best to be as nice as possible. But there's a lot of people out there that are providing misinformation or not enough information and not the right information, about what it takes to actually go from being a podcaster to live streaming, and also from live streaming to being a podcaster. Right? We talk about both. We we look at both. We understand the benefits of both, of being a podcaster and going to live streaming, and being a live streamer that actually wants to turn their live stream into a podcast. We understand both of those. The market and the knowledge base, of a lot of podcasters out there, is still low in the context of understanding what it takes to do a video, and also to go live as well. So the market, if you are looking to do this, it's not too late, and you need to start now. You just really do. Um, there are so many people out there that are thinking about it, and they're thinking about it and thinking about it, and they're not doing it, and they're not executing on any of that. And so, you know, the audio podcast piece is not going anywhere. So even if you're a live streamer, and you're thinking about, you've already tackled the second part, right? Of this piece. You've already tackled the second part of, get ready for live and video. And now you're thinking about the audio podcast aspect of it. It's not too late for that too. And we can easily help you with getting that started as well, right? Because one of the things that we realize is that, um it's not just a matter of stripping out the audio from your live stream and then putting it up, right? You can do that, but but if you didn't hear the first part of my rant around audio podcasting, is it going anywhere? You may want to check on that one and listen to that again, because that will help you understand the importance of why your audio podcast, honestly, I think, should be different from your live stream. Um, I just really do think that they need to be different, because it's a different experience. It's a different experience. This is me connecting with you right now, and you see in my face, you see in the background, you see in the mic, you see in the headphones, all this other stuff. But when it's audio, it's just you and that person. There's nobody else. There's nothing else distracting you, and so the level of concentration that you actually have to garner information from that person is a lot different than what it is right now. Plus, I have all the bells and whistles. I have all the the lower thirds and all this other stuff to kind of keep your attention, and the camera switching. When you're in audio, you just have to concentrate on that one person's voice. Period. Anyway, so I get off my horse on that one for a second. But if you're not doing live streaming, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you're not doing video, I'm pointing at myself, right? I'm doing both live streaming and audio podcast, and now we're start to do video. So you need to go ahead and do that right now. Um, real time editing for the one. That's right. That's right. You can do that's the one thing about live streaming, right? You can fix your stuff pretty quickly, and you can make sure that uh you get all your points. You get all your points. Before we move into some of the other stuff, I do want to let you know, of course, you can go to prestonsoul.com podcasters live to grab any of our merch that we have going on over there. We would greatly appreciate that. All the funds go back into all of our production and everything for the show as well. So I'm excited about that. And if you're on LinkedIn, we welcome you. We thank you for hopping on here as well. Facebook, we have an amazing Facebook group. That's really robust. It's got a lot of good content that's in there, and people are just super active, in there and just wanted to learn a lot more. If you are not one of our subscribers yet for YouTube, we ask that you go ahead and go to our page, Podcasters Live. Go ahead and make sure you're a subscriber and hit that bell so that way you don't miss any of our live streams or our videos that we have coming up as well too. And then we have a new video up there too called "What's in My Camera Bag." I was preparing for Podfest conference and was able to capture a whole bunch of footage of for that as well too. So there we have for that. So make sure you go ahead and do that. I do want to. I know it's a live stream. It is what it is. So if you have any comments or you have any thoughts about any of these points, any of these lessons learned, right? Create. You know, it's not too late. Audio podcast is not going anywhere. Get ready for video and live. I would really want to know where you are in your journey. If it's an audio podcast, are you thinking about doing an audio podcast because you are already doing live and you're already doing videos? If you're already doing videos, are you thinking about doing audio podcasts? And what are some of your questions about, either or? What are your questions about like how do I make my podcast sound different than my live stream? Or how do I make my audio podcast sound and look and feel while still being on brand a little bit different than my audio podcast, right? We can help you with that too. But make sure you go ahead and put any questions or comments that you actually have in the chat as well. All right. So I do have because I can't leave. Even though I gave you some lessons learned, I can't leave you without giving you a few tips. I cannot leave you without giving you a few tips because this wouldn't be Saturday podcast live academy without any tips and tricks, right? So here we go. And this is based off of the first was based off of a podcast that we did, and it talked about your first 10 podcasts are going to suck, right? So in essence, really your first 10 to 20 will probably suck. Your podcast and maybe even your live streams will probably suck, and that's okay. You got to be able to embrace that, right? You have to be able to embrace the idea that your first several are going to suck. So I just gave you all this information around it's not too late, right? Create. Audio podcasts aren't going anywhere, and get ready for live and everything. So this is why I wanted to go into this because it's a great segue. If I should do say so myself, it's a good segue into helping you with some tips to think about with all the lessons learned that I just presented. All right. Thank you, Roy. Roy said he's listening. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for listening. Any other questions or any thoughts? Please make sure you go ahead and put them in there. I'm not going to wait to the end for any Q&A. I always like to answer them as best as I possibly can whenever you put them up there. So, set realistic expectations. So, we have this thing. I don't know if it's not called live stream fade, but we call it pod fade. Where typically after your first 7 to 10 episodes, right, you start to lose hope, and you don't, wow, how come I'm not getting 1,000 subscribers or downloads and all of this, and honestly you're just not, because nobody knows you, right? Nobody knows you. How I don't understand. This is the part this is okay. This is the part that I don't understand. Right? When you go to a job, you go to a job and you start and you're brand new at the job. Do you on day one say, "Well, I want to do my supervisor's job," you right? Or I want to do this, dude. They don't even know you. You haven't even created a mark. You haven't even had your first day yet. You haven't had your first 10 days, your first 90 days, and you're saying that you want to do your supervisor's job. You haven't even created any measure of credibility. They have no clue who you are, right? The only reason retail half the time we know people's names is because they got a freaking name tag on, right? So how can you, when you just start something brand new, think right out the gate that you are going to be like, a rock star, right? It's just not going to happen. And I'm not being negative. This is part of setting realistic expectations, for you. And this is honestly, and this is why people don't start, because people are afraid to have these real conversations with people and let them know, dude, yes, they may not be great, but you still need to start. And that's okay. You have people in the community, coaches that can help you along the process to get better. But if you don't start, then you don't have any opportunity to get past the 10 to 20 that are going to suck. You haven't even given yourself a chance, right? So how on day one can you just expect that you're going to right out the gate be a rock star? It's just not going to happen. So we have to make sure and we help people set realistic expectations, you know, for their episodes, whether it's podcasts or their live streams, right? And then you iterate, right? And you fix, you tweak, right? It could be something as simple as a run a show adjustment. Well, hey, maybe not add that section here. Maybe add this section at the bottom because that'll help with engagement. That'll be a good teaser. Maybe it's better that you just don't. Maybe it's better that you do like a little lead in and not just go right into the intro. Maybe you do like a little hook or something, right? It could be a little tweak, and you got to mess around with it. And then the next ten to 20, you fine tune. Then the next 10 after that, you're finding your voice, right? That is the hardest part. A lot of times with actually, I would say it's the hardest part. It's the part that a lot of people don't give themselves the opportunity to find is their voice because they quit. Right? There's a I wish I had it with me. I would put it up right now. There's like a little image, a little gift, if you will. No, that's not a gift. It's just an image of these two dudes. You guys have probably seen it. There's one on top of the other, and they're digging for gold, or at the end you see the picture of or diamonds. You see diamonds near the end, and they're both digging, and then you see the one at the top. He turned away, and he was this close. He was this close. If he would have hit it one more time, he would have had the diamonds. And then the other one is still digging. He just dug it. So another example of this was that at my gym a couple years ago, there was this one exercise that we did. Ryan was our coach. He gave us different things to do and the number of reps we needed to do. 25 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, jumping jacks, whatever it was. And he just randomly would tell us what we needed to do. And then he would let us know when we needed to stop. We didn't know when the last exercise was going to be. We had no clue. And we're doing all of these, man. We're going for like a half an hour. And I'm like, dude, yo, come on, man. You just need to stop. And we're going. And then people are dropping off and they're stopping because once you stop doing exercises, you're done. You're out of that the workout. You just sit back and watch everybody else. So we're going, and there's like three of us left, man. I'm in there, and then we're going. I can't remember what the last exercise was, but I gave up. I stopped, and then as soon as he did that, he was like, "Last one." I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me?" Oh, if I would have just did that last exercise, I would have made it to completion. Just like that guy digging for those diamonds. I was so pissed at myself. Oh, I was so pissed at myself. And he showed me. So I thought he was, BSing me. I was like, dude, seriously, no. He's like, nope, here it is. And he showed me the list. He showed me the list of exercise. So he actually did have a list. And if I would have like just done that last one, I would have completed. That right there was such a life learning lesson for me, as you can tell, because it hit me hard. I'm talking about it to you guys to right now. That when you are right at the precipice of what you should be doing, you stop. You don't give yourself the opportunity to move forward, to find that true north, or to find your voice, because you give up too soon. You can't do that. So you got to go through the process of understanding that things are going to suck for a little bit. 80-20 rule. Is this resonating with anybody? Is this resonating with anybody? Are you guys getting any hashtag value out of this? Let me know if there's a question that you may have, whether it's right now live or run a replay. Please let me know. I'm gonna grab a little water. Let me know. I would greatly appreciate it. Cool. Um, 80-20 rule. Oh man. So I did this slide this morning. I woke up early and I did this one this morning, and I was thinking about tips. And this one came to me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one or not. It's Pareto. It's called the Pareto principle. Um, it's the 80-20 rule. Some people say 20-80, but it's actually 80-20. And it's the idea that 20% of what you do will give you 80% of your return. And now here's the thing. It's not always 80-20. It could be 30, it could be 30-70, it could be, 40-60, or whatever it is. Right. I use this concept a lot in my retail career. Whenever I walked into a market, I would I would look at the top um, categories for sales, and typically they would and it top category for sales, and typically they were probably around the 20% of like all the categories. They're probably 20 to 25% of all the categories that we sold within within the market, within the store, or whatever it may be. And that 20 to 25% gave us the majority, the vast majority, of our sales. Commodities, right? So you think about retail commodities, which is, you know, milk, toilet paper, right? Cosmetics, right? Underwear, right? Like those are the things that like give you the bulk. Electronics doesn't give it to you, right? The margins are so slim. And so understanding that, that's how I helped, my team understand their business and where to actually put their time, right? Yes, you can put your time in the other 80 stuff, but the 20% is where you need to be spending the majority of your time. That's where you need to have your rock star leaders, is in that 20% of categories within your stores, right? It's the same thing when you start to think about your content, right? If you think about some of your videos, right? You think about your videos that are probably doing really well. Think about, just do a test. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments if this pans out or not. I would really love to know, especially Roy, Walter, all you guys, Monte. I really would love to know. Like if you look at all your views, right? I'd love to know the percentage of videos that have given you the majority of your views, right? Or comments wise, or whatever it may be. And that goes back to this point. I think it was this. Which point was it? Do more of what works, right? So it goes back, and hopefully you guys are seeing all this stuff, how all this stuff is building on each other as well too, right? So the 80-20 rule is like you start to think about the tasks that you're currently doing. 20% of what you think about all the tasks that you can write all 10 down. 20 to 30% are really the main things that are giving you the bulk of what your output should be, whether it's content creation or whether it's sales, right? You think about if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, content creator, whatever, you can probably do the same thing. You can see where the bulk of your revenues coming from. It's probably coming from 20 to 30% of what your offerings are, right? So hopefully you just think about that. So and then you can outsource the rest, right? You outsource some of those things that you are not great at. Um, you can outsource some of the things that you really just don't like to do. that aren't really, where you want to spend your time to move your business into your concept or your channel, your podcast forward. You can have somebody else do that as well within reason. I'm not asking you to go out here and spend all tons of money on a virtual assistant or anything like that, but you can find somebody that can help you with certain things that you may want to outsource. So let me know if that 80/20 rule is resonating with you, because the tendency is we do 20/80, meaning that we do 80% of the stuff and it's only giving us 20% of a return, because there's tons of redundancy. There's tons of redundancy in that 80%, right? You have to understand that within that 80% of within the 80% of what we should be doing, there's a lot of redundancy, right? And that redundancy can be done by somebody else. It shouldn't be done by you, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and that you're tracking along with me with all of that as well too. All right. And then the last one, right? Always, I could probably just leave this one up here. Create pillars for your content. Provides a filter for your content creation, provides alignment for your brand, establish consistency with your message, right? The one thing that, when you're looking at things from a podcast and live stream standpoint, that drives a lot of people um, bonkers when they look at your stuff is probably the inconsistency. It could be the inconsistency in presentation. So I'm very I don't like to use the word meticulous because I'm not meticulous. Um, but I'm very I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Uh I really want to make sure that the aesthetics of what I'm putting out here, as you guys can see, fits. It will fit the Podcasters Live brand, right? And so the aesthetics, if you will, I want to make sure that that all aligns, so that when I go from slide to slide, scene to scene, you're not seeing any variation. It all speaks to Podcasters Live. Same thing with your content, right? Your content over time, as we just talked about from tip number one, was around creating your own voice. Your content over time will develop its own voice, and you okay, like Samuel L. Jackson, right? How many movies has Samuel L. Jackson been in? Right? I can't even, I don't even know. It's ridiculous. It is just absolutely ridiculous, right? And you know, one of his famous lines is, MFer, right? And just, that's, whenever you hear that in a movie from Samuel L. Jackson, like that's part of his cachet, right? You almost just expect to hear it in a movie whatever the movie is that he's in, and when he says it, it's just like, okay, that's Samuel L. Jackson, right? When you think about, you know, like uh, Born Identity, right? I had an opportunity to do an experience with Born Identity. I'm a massive Born Identity fan. Every time I look at the movies, I realize that it has its own theme. It has its own cachet that attracts me to it, and I love it. James Bond, right? All think about all the different Obi-Wan, Kenobi, that's right now on Disney, right? Or whether you like it or you don't like it, right? Mandalorian, right? They all have their own cachet. They all have their own like theme that's in there. But that's developed over time. And the same thing happens with your content. But if you're inconsistent, what you start to do is you start to throw all this other stuff at it that other people are doing. And it's not your voice, right? How many of you remember the uh the uh the story of David in the Bible when he was going out to fight Goliath, and Saul gave him his armor, and David was like, dude, this doesn't fit. This doesn't fit me. And Saul's like, well, just go ahead and use it anyway. David's like, no, dude, this I can't fight in this. This just doesn't fit me. All I need is my, my three stones and my slingshot. That's it. I'm good. When we start to put content that doesn't fit on us, right? It's very obvious. It's very obvious. And so stop doing that. That's all I can say. It's all like a parent, stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. Right? Because it's obvious, right? We can see it. Don't think we can't. It's like, dude, that doesn't even sound like you. Like, stop it. So create your own pillars so that you can create your own voice over time. Right. So hopefully that's helping with somebody. And I'm not trying to make light of that, but it's just like we see it all the time. I laughing because man, y'all know y'all see it. You guys know you see it when you hear somebody and you're like, dude, that just doesn't sound like that person, man. Why would stop? Don't do that, right? And God bless them that they're out there starting and they're doing something, right? But when they're 50 episodes in or whatever it is, and they're still sounding like somebody else, I don't know. I don't know. I just try to keep everything real, man. I apologize. You struggle with delegating. Yeah. Yeah, you and Sherry Jones both. Maybe yeah, I think I need to start he's tracking with me. I need to start like a a group or something, man. Delegators Anonymous or something. I'm just messing with you. But dude, it's hard. And here it's hard because this is your baby, right? Roy, your show is your baby. You created it from scratch. I remember you talking about it when we were Lita. And I remember you testing, 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 testing. I remember you remember initially you were when you first got the camera, and then you got your MV7, right? You were testing, like that's your baby, dude. And to give the reins to certain aspects of your business to someone else is tough. It's tough, but that's where you have to vet, right? And that's where you have people in your community that maybe have somebody that can help you, right? Or it could be just giving them something small, right? It could be a post, right? Hey, I just need you to do 3 posts for me a week, for tech troublemaker, right? Something like that, and then see if you like it, and then help them through the developmental process of what you want your brand to sound like, right? And look like. Because here's the other thing: even though this is video, your your video and your live stream, it does have a certain sound, and that certain sound is your voice, right? You know, could you imagine if I came on here one Saturday, and my voice was super high, super duper high, like Steve at 15? No, I think my voice was deep at 15, but Steve at like 12, right? You'd be like, what the heck, right? And so it's the same thing, but you can give them something small, and then hopefully build trust over time, and then honestly, it does become easier. I'm speaking for myself included. It does become easier the more you trust people, and the more they get you, and it becomes easier for you to give them certain things as well too. All right, so that's first 10, 20 are gonna suck. 80-20 rule. Create pillars for your content and things along that line as well. All right, man. What time is it? It's 10. That's not bad. I didn't go too far. I didn't go too far over. That's okay. You guys still got a good majority of your morning, to get stuff done. I do want to, and I know there's a delay, and that's okay. Um, I do want to open it up, of course, for any questions, any thoughts, anything that you may be struggling with. If you wanna hop on live with me, real quick for a little while, just to chat for something, let me know. If not, I'm 100% okay with that, because we will be doing Pomodoro a little later today at around 7:30, and I'll post that in the community as well, because I am going to take my own advice. I am going to take my own advice, um, because there are a lot of things that I need to get done as a result of um, Podfest, as a result of hearing information, realizing where I currently am with my podcast and my live stream and my business, and then also with Worthy Retail You. Um, there are just a lot of things. I don't say that's not a lot. There are things that I still need to get done that I want to get done as well too. And cool. Great show. Need to drop off and get ready for my huddle. Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you, dude. Thanks for hopping on, Walter, man, as well. I'm gonna catch your show. My soccer my soccer's done. I don't know what to do with myself on the weekends now in the morning. I'm just it's gonna be this and then creating content. That's what's gonna have to happen for me because my team, of course, Manchester City won the Premier League championship. Yes, go, you know, go Man City, go Man City. I'm expecting big things out of them next year. So now I have this free time on the weekends, um, in the morning to do this, and then also to create more and more content as well too. So I'm actually looking forward to doing that as well. So cool. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that as well too. So uh, I thank you guys for hopping on, hanging out with me. Hopefully, I'm gonna keep using that word. Hopefully, you got some value out of this. Hopefully, I was able to help you. Hopefully, I was able to, you know, provide some clarity of thought to just certain things that I've learned, at Podfest, and then how they have applied to me, but also how they can apply to you as well in your content creation journey. And then of course we went through the three tips that I think are super valuable to kind of build upon the lessons learned from Podfest as well. So if you have any questions on the replay, please don't hesitate at any point to put them in the comments. If you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, go ahead and go to Podcasters Live, and we would love to have you part of that community as well. And other than that, I will see you later. And thank you guys for being here. Have a great day. And let's make sure. I think this one is going to work. I, I made sure my closing scenes work because the last couple of times they didn't work, but I want to make sure that they're going to work this time. We'll see. Have a great day, and God bless.